What's up, YouTube? It's a Jack Crypto Guy bringing you a time-sensitive update. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is very frustrating. I understand that, a lot of people, like, they don't really know what's going on. They're very confused, and they were kind of promised like this, like, crazy Q4, crazy October. Everyone went max long. We had a record liquidation, like, right in the first week of October. We have just like all these like huge Bitcoin OG whales like shorting or selling the market. We see Binance selling off all of their Bitcoin, basically suppressing the price. They've been doing that for like they've been doing that for the whole cycle, realistically speaking, but they've been doing it heavily recently. And there's just a lot of, confusion in the market. And, I understand that completely. And it's just a really pivotal time, I think, in crypto because, it's not easy. I think that anybody that joins crypto thinking that they're going to make money quick, I think that the market is ultimately going to humble those. And I think that if you're someone that is, willing to take the risk and ride, kind of ride the wave, fortune does favor the brave, so to speak, in this scenario. And I think that there's like a lot of speculation where, it comes to these 4-year cycles, and there's a lot of speculation, is it still intact? Is it over? And, being on like crypto Twitter, it's a very toxic environment, especially, when things are bad. It's like horrible. Like, you don't want to be there. I understand. Like, it's just like depressing. And everyone's saying that, it's the cycle's over, Bitcoin's going to 50K. And you also have to realize that a lot of these traders, they probably got liquidated in that huge event. And they're probably just like miserable, and, misery loves company. And there's just a lot of, engagement farming. And so I wouldn't pay too much attention to, Twitter or any kind of social media that's talking about crypto, because, when things are great, they're talking about, all-time highs, Bitcoin 300K, 500K, $1 million. But then whenever things go kind of bearish, it's like, oh, it's over, it's going to 50K or whatever the case may be. And usually you can kind of take a contrarian view and you typically will do okay. That's not to say that, it's going to shake out every single time, but I think that a lot of confidence has been shaken up in the market. And I think that the big boys know this. And it wouldn't surprise me to see that this all kind of come to a resolution, at least like towards the end of October, or maybe like, November, December, before we can actually, go all the way up and then confirm that we're going back into a bear trend. I'm just not ready to call it yet. So to give you guys a little bit of, value and insight, what I'm currently doing is, I had a lot of really speculative altcoins, and I was still up on profits on a good amount of them. And I kind of looked at the ones that I think like, okay, well, do I still have conviction in these? Why am I still holding them? Would I buy these again if I had fresh money? And if the answer is no, then I would just allocate those into more, I would say, safer bets, so to speak. So, it's never a bad time to accumulate Bitcoin for sure. I like Ethereum because obviously all of the treasury companies and Wall Street, they're gonna love the spot ETF whenever they can stake it. Same thing with Solana. I think that Solana is going to be pretty hot when it comes to just the spot ETF narratives. I think that's like number 1 up right now. I think like they're like next to line. And then there's obviously, I think like 50 other ones that are kind of like being applied for. So I think that the big 3 you can't go wrong with. Obviously they're a lot higher in market cap, so the gains are not going to be as much, but you're going to protect your downside while still having exposure to the market. Now, I would not be, perp trading, leverage trading unless you're very experienced. But, realistically speaking, I would not touch this at all unless you're going to like take profits and do some sort of like, maybe like a hedge. Maybe you do like a very like low leverage 2x position where the price can go down 50%. But I don't really recommend that for most people. And if you're somebody that wants to hold spot and, you don't have an exchange, you can go into my description or my bio. There's a lot of, I'm partnered with multiple exchanges, I think. And so you get basically like money back, right? So you can do like Coinbase. I think they give you like $25 or $50 of Bitcoin back off your first purchase. I think Kraken is doing like a 20% or some sort of like money back, depending on your deposits. And I think that those are kind of something you can take advantage of because, again, it's spot position. So like whenever you buy the crypto, you hold it, you own it, and you can make rewards based off your, signups, and you just make a little bit of extra money whenever you do like the bonus. And then obviously whenever the, the campaigns are over, then just withdraw it. You always want to withdraw it to ideally cold storage. Like you can do like a Ledger or a Tangem. Those are like my 2 favorites. I think those are somewhere in my bio too. Those are the ones I use religiously. And the main reason is whenever you move the coins off the exchanges, you own them completely. And whenever you leave them on, if the exchange ever goes under, they can either, keep your assets, or they can just, liquidate them and you'll never get them back. That's happened to me multiple times. And so I've learned my lesson over the years. I highly should, even if it's like not through like my, affiliate links, I think I get like 5% or something. I'm just saying it's easy access if you guys want to look into it. And again, very important to hold your own assets. So to wrap this all up, I think that unless we close Bitcoin below like 98K, like on a weekly candle, like if it just closes, that would be a really bad sign in my opinion. I think until then, everything else is just noise. I think the whales have everybody right where they want them. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. And if you're in altcoins, again, I would take a step back, look at the ones you have conviction in. If you haven't taken any profits and you're still up, I would suggest considering, at least taking off like some chips off the table so that at least you've realized some of the profits, because a lot of people leave with no profits. And, if things do get really crazy, then you'll have more money to sort of like buy the dip, so to speak, which is like very cheesy to say, but you can always take advantage of that. And if the market just turns bullish, well, then you can just reallocate accordingly to whatever your convictions are and kind of ride the wave. So hope that content helps you. Smash like button, share this video with a friend, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.